Hey, it's Chip, your host. In this episode, I interview Janice Sands, whose maiden name is Wassel. Thanks to Ed Pouton, our guest last week, for putting me in touch with Janice, who has been a singer in Las Vegas ever since leaving Erie in the early 1980s. As Janice will explain, she kind of just fell into a number of her musical opportunities and gigs over the years, including a pretty significant one at the old Lord Befwick's restaurant or lounge in the West Erie Plaza, if you remember that place. I think you'll enjoy her episode, but I also wanted to remind you about the live music night that this podcast is helping to co-host that is coming up on February 22nd. The event will feature an hour of live music from the Fabulous Leftovers, a group of longtime Erie musicians who play some great classic rock. After that, the stage will be turned over to other folks who want to play a few tunes. It's a Tuesday night, February 22nd from 6 to 9, and it's totally free. But any donations will go to the Second Harvest Food Bank. It's located in the Lake Erie Plaza, which is next to Our Lady of Peace Church on West 38th Street. It's the old Hills Plaza that's there. And in that plaza, you'll see a sign for the McLean Church. This is in that old McLean Church location. So February 22nd, 6 to 9, come on out for a fun night. All right, that's it for me. Here's my interview with Janice Sands. Let's take you back in time a little bit, if you don't mind. And
sure.
We'll go back to the days. First of all, where did you grow up here in Erie?
On 32nd and Ash.
In Ash. Okay, so where'd you go to school?
Yeah, on Ash Street. Well, Lincoln Elementary, Wilson Junior High, and then Academy.
Okay, all right. Yeah. I think you might be the first Academy Lion that I've interviewed. I don't know.
Oh, there we go. Woohoo!
Yeah. And have you only been a singer, or do you play instruments too?
No, just a singer.
Okay. And when did that start for you?
Oh, geez. I think it really started just like starting in elementary school with chorus. It was chorus then. And then junior high, then you get in choir, and then I would get picked for solos. And it was that kind of thing. And I was out of school. I was working, what was it called? What was the telephone company called then? Gentel?
GTE?
Yeah, GTE. Yeah, I went working there. I was working at the record bar. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that place. That was a cool gig. Yeah, oh, it was great. And that was my first job. At school, they let you take off like your last class of the day to do something. And my friend and I were both up for, there was one at, I think it was called Warren Electronics. I think it was, and then the record bar. So she got that one, and I got the record bar, which was perfect because I was just surrounded by the latest music that came out. All of it. It was great, and really expanded my knowledge of other stuff too. Of other types of music. They'd let us open an album, take it home, just bring it back the next day. It was great.
What year was this about?
Oh, this had to be. Well, I was still in school, so 69.
Okay. What did you graduate? 70?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you obviously had the bug for singing, and now you're working at a record store. The next logical step is you got to join a band, right?
Well, yeah. I got a friend of mine, Doug Klein, who still is in Erie as well. He called me a year out of high school and said that he wanted, it might have been a little bit longer than that. And that's what I was doing. I said, not nothing. Want to try this? Okay. I'm game. He was the one that started our original band. And
Holy Smoke?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was the rhythm guitar player, and Dick Buckle was on lead. I'm trying to think who he had on
Bill Burdick on drums.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Rich Baldwin on
bass.
You
do have your history. You got all this. You don't need to talk to me.
I do my homework.
I guess. Wow. And you're making me strain my brain here trying to come up with it. You got it right in front of you.
Well, I just like to clarify sometimes. So what happens? Doug asks you to come and join this band. Did it even have a name at the time, or?
I don't know. I don't think we'd know. There was no band. There was no name. We just went to his parents' basement and started. I don't even know. What I was into at the time was Janis Joplin and Grace Slick. Jefferson Airplane. So I think we did a couple Led Zeppelin songs, But mostly when I was singing, it was that kind of stuff, And then one of our favorite gigs that we ended up getting was the 1914 tie right there on the railroad tracks there. That was a cool little place there. But our first gig was I think our first little gig, and I remember because we got $25. Woohoo! And I was hooked. I thought, they are gonna pay me to sing. Goodbye, GTE. Bye. I was gone so fast, make your head spin.
Oh, really? So you quit GTE?
I did. And then I went back to Record Bar part-time because I loved it so, and then still was singing then, And our first gig was, Peak and Peak, $25. Yeah.
Okay.
Living large now, baby.
So I can tell you the date of that gig, if you'd like.
Oh my God. You're kind of scaring me a little now, Jim.
So what I do is I research the old Erie Times newspaper database. And on February 20th, 1971, you played the Erie Ski Club's Ski Boot Hop at the Peak and Peak Lodge. How about that?
Ski Boot Hop. You do your homework. Wow. February 20th, 1971. Okay, yeah. So you're out of high school.
So there was a weird article that I read, and it was from June of 71. It had a picture of you guys, and I had I don't know if it was talking about one of your gigs, but it said in the article that the lead guitarists for Bobby Goldsboro heard the band play at Klein's in early 1971 and exclaimed, "Holy smoke," which supposedly is how the band was named. Does that ring a bell at all?
Oh, no.
Okay. I didn't think so.
I think we were trying to do at the time, being the times being what they were. I think that, I don't know, I might have come up with it. I was trying to think of something that had a double meaning, double entendre, holy smoke,
Yeah. It's a great name.
Doesn't take a took. Yeah. That was one of the most fun things to do when you got in a band. It's like, okay, now we got to come up with a name.
Yeah. And so how was it? You were in a band with 5 other guys, and you had never been in a band before, right?
No. Just, like I said, just in school choirs.
Right.
Joseph or Gary.
And so everything you practiced, where, at Doug's house?
At Doug's house, yeah. God love his parents, Yeah, down in the basement there. And we just, sometimes ignorance is bliss. You don't know any better, so you just do it,
Sure.
I think that's kind of how I stumbled onto everything in my career. Just go, okay, sounds like a good idea.
Well, the band didn't, it sounds like, so what happens? You tell me. The band, I know it was around in 71. I didn't find a lot of gigs for it. I mean, do you remember what happened?
Well, I ended up moving to Colorado.
Oh.
Yeah. I went, 3 of my girlfriends and I decided, well, let's just go someplace. Let's go west,
Yeah.
So we heard it was really pretty there, and of course with the mountains and everything. So we lived there for a couple of years, and we came back just for a visit. We drove back to surprise our folks. While I was there, I went out to hear a band at Lord Bethwick's. I think that was at the West Erie Plaza.
Yeah, right.
And they had band, and they were from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and they were just a really good band. And I was on the dance floor dancing, and the guy from the band comes out with a microphone, which I hate when people do that, shoves the mic around people's faces, And I just had a couple drinks in me, so I thought, oh, what the hell? And I sang, did a little riff or something. So sure enough, on the break, he comes over to the table and asks me to join the band.
Wow.
And here we go again. Well, I ended up not going back with them and having them send me all my stuff and on to the next adventure. But that's where I ended up in that band. I ended up, it's so cliche, I married the bass player.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Just
a few turns here.
Okay.
So once again, I didn't go back to Colorado, had them ship my things, and there I went. And I joined the band, and we rehearsed at my parents' place. I was going to say the keyboard player, his uncle was an agent, and he booked us on this whole thing all through in Michigan and Warren, Niles,
Were the other guys from Erie that were in the band?
No, they were all from Newcastle.
Okay.
Newcastle.
So, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he had booked him at the thing. Otherwise, why would they be at Lord Bethwick? And like I said, they never went back.
All right. So you tour around with them for a while, I take it.
Yeah, and then I just kind of wanted to have not be traveling so much. We got married, and it was like enough already. So that's when we formed our own, and that was.
Where does Mercy Sakes fit into all this?
That's it.
Is that the band?
That's the one with my husband in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, I have that band playing around in 76 to 77.
Yeah. I'm getting you all screwed up because I'm screwed up.
That's all right. It was a long time ago. I'm testing your memory. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not doing too well with it. Yeah. We formed our own. We left, the Holy Smokes. We left that one and went we started our own band. And that was with Ed and Buddy Ed's brother Buddy was on drums, and Donnie Shreve was on sax.
Okay.
The sax player. My husband was on bass. I think that was Mercy Sakes.
That was Mercy Sakes. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's when we got a really nice long-term gig at the Calabrese Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a nice one. It was great. He treated us like gold. Cy Ciotti. I know he's got quite a reputation because he was good to us.
And that's how it was back in the day, right? You played multiple nights, or was it a week's engagement?
We had we had 4 nights a week.
Okay.
It was great. Yeah. Yeah. A nice steady gig. I remember we'd come back, we'd finish and we'd be heading back to our apartment. We had an apartment at the time, and Mighty Fine Donuts, my favorite donuts still to this day. Over there. Oh man.
I was just there the other day.
Oh, but we'd be getting out. My mouth's watering talking about it now.
Yeah.
But we'd get off. By the time we got off, and we'd stop by there, and would wait for them because they'd be making them for the day, and we'd get them right hot off the. Oh baby. Mm-hmm. I had 2 down before we hit the end of the block.
Because you were getting done at the Calabrese Club at probably 4 a.m, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty late.
That's crazy.
Fun though. Oh, and Scott Kuhn. That's who was in the group too.
Scott Kuhn. I know Steve Kuhn. Wasn't Steve Kuhn in Holy Smoke for a while too?
Steve Kuhn was in. Yeah, Steve Kuhn took. Yeah, he took. He was lead guitar after Dickie Buckle. Mm-hmm.
Right, and Pat Simmons.
Well, this is like putting together a family tree.
Yeah. So Holy Smoke pretty much broke up when you moved to Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're over there, Colorado. You come back to visit. You're suddenly in a band. You're getting married, and now you stay in Erie for a little while, and do Mercy Sakes.
And then we went to Newcastle. We moved to Newcastle because my husband's mother was getting older, so we went there and we formed a different band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Gosh, now when I'm looking back on this, it sounds like I'm just I don't know. Crazy.
Hey, it was the 70s. Come on.
I know, that's true.
I mean, there's a lot of classic Erie clubs that I have on this list of places that you played over the years, that are no longer around. The City Squire Club, the Banks Money, the Wooden Horse Lounge at the Spartans Inn. You said the Calabrese Club. You did 3 weeks at the Ramada Inn. I mean, that's how it was back then.
Yeah. That was a nice little room.
Yeah.
At the time. Yeah.
Any?
That was with our version of the group. With my husband's name. His name was John T. Sands, but everybody called him T, like his middle initial, or Terry. And we got these other musicians from the Newcastle area, and again from that same area. There's so many. Not that there aren't in Erie. There's a lot of talented people in Erie as well, but. There's just this glut right around that Pittsburgh area. It's just amazing. And a lot of them self-taught. That's how my husband was. He was self-taught. And that's what happened when we moved out here. It got a little rough because he didn't read music. So it's amazing that somebody can teach themselves and not be, not read music or anything. But when he got out here, we go to get in a band, everybody can read charts. So it's hard for him to keep up because he'd have to come home, listen to everything and just learn it, that way. So he ended up becoming becoming a dealer, a 21 dealer, blackjack dealer. And that turned out so well for him.
Sure.
That he left that, and I just was on my own then.
So you went
to get a different band.
So you went from Newcastle to Vegas in what still in the 70s or? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm sorry. January of 80.
January of 80. And what was the impetus? I mean, did you go there to play in bands?
Well, I thought I wanted to go to LA or New York, but he wanted to go to Vegas because he knew some people here. He said he knew some people.
Okay.
This is going to become clear why I got divorced. So we get out here. Everybody he knows, he doesn't know any musicians here. He knows 21 dealers. What the hell good's that? Excuse me. So we didn't know anybody once again. So we put an ad because we didn't know any better. We had a couple of rubes here, I swear. But it was it was 1980. We didn't know what else to do because we didn't know anybody. He wasn't in the union. We didn't even think of the union, to go for musicians. So we put an ad in the classifieds under music. And one guy responded, and he was from right around Pittsburgh and that, but he had moved out here. He was a drummer, John Abraham. He's fantastic. And he ended up calling his keyboard player friend, Devin Streeter, and he moved out here to be with our band. The only problem we had was I was the only lead singer. So we went for a while, and after a while, it's like, we have to get somebody else in here, to help me out here.
Right.
So, and then, unfortunately, that was the demise of the group, as it were, because the guy that we hired was kind of a jerk. He was our Yoko Ono.
Gotcha.
He broke up the band, man. Well, then I had kept them working. We not just me, my husband and I we booked it. So we'd kept everybody working, and then there was a lull there, so we had. The agent had said, well, maybe, the only other place would be Wendover, which here in Las Vegas they call Bendover because it's just nobody wants to go there. It's out
what
in
is
the
it?
boonies.
Is it
horrible? It's a tiny little town. I never did go. And then that's when my band left me.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So they went with somebody. That's kind of how it is out here. Snooze, you lose. You keep them working, but then you can't blame them.
Were you, when you first got out there, were you guys getting gigs at, I always think, are you getting gigs at casinos?
Yeah. Well, we did at that time they had showcases. So once we got our band together, we actually had a gig and we got real tight on it at the Barbary Coast, which is no longer. But at that time they had showcases. So bands would do these showcases, and the guy from the actual place was the Maxim Hotel. Once again, not there. It's a Westin now. But we did a showcase there, and the entertainment director there liked it so much. He gave us a year contract in the afternoon, which was great because the guys could, if they wanted to double, they could.
Right.
I didn't really want to double. I was fine. So that lasted, until it didn't, and it wasn't anymore. And then that's when I ended up getting into another band called Stan's Band. So that was the last of the bands. Then I went on my own after Stan's Band. And that was like real, like Manhattan Transfer type of thing, all harmonies, which I love. I love singing harmony. So it was a lot of that stuff. And for freshmen, anything that would lend itself to harmonies, we did in that group, contemporary and older stuff too. And that's when I first, because my mother used to say to me, because I was doing all, just the rock stuff and R&B, heavy into R&B. Loved that, Earth, Wind and Fire, things like that. And she'd always say, you should do this kind of music, and like Nat King Cole, things like that. I came out here, I didn't know what a standard meant. I didn't know what that term meant, a standard. They said you got to put some of that stuff in there, mix it up. Well, okay, so sure enough, my mom didn't say it, but I could see it on her face. I told you so. Mom knows best.
Yeah.
She was right, and I love it. And then it opened up a whole thing of jazz for me. Because I was not a jazz singer. I was pop, R&B, and I love it.
And
a lot of the stuff I do now is jazz.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay. So, I mean, I've seen some of the videos. I mean, obviously, I've seen the Cher, videos, but
that's another story.
you being in a big band, you mentioned earlier, you said, that you were the only singer. So when you were in the bands in Erie, were you the only singer, or were the guys singing also?
Ed sang a little bit.
Okay.
But I can't think of it, the other guy. Oh, Scott did. Scott sang. He's got a real nice voice.
So then you get out there and now, you're the primary singer.
Yeah.
And then
good news, bad news. No, it was great. But then, like I said, it got to be too much until I just, couldn't do it anymore. And then this offer came up with Stan's band. He's another one. He had like a year-long contract. Well, these people were getting these year-long contracts, but thank God they called me for them.
Yeah.
That was at the Hilton, which is now the Westgate. It was International, it was called back then. And that was a big deal because that's where Elvis Presley played,
Okay.
But they also had a regular production show. So we had a year contract that we would open, do like while people were eating dinner, the dinner show, we would play a set. And that was it. It was done. And the guys could go on doing other stuff,
You didn't have another gig. You didn't have another side job or anything.
No.
And so you have maintained
Again, at that time I was married.
At that time you were married. Okay. All right.
I was still married. Yeah. So, probably if I were single, I might have done it, I'd look for something else.
And you have maintained that all these years out there, just being a singer in different bands or solo? Tell us a little.
Well, yeah. Then I went solo, and that didn't last really long. I had my own great band, and we were playing at the Sands. And at the same time, the Sands, a show was opening up called Beach Blanket Babylon. And my friends dragged me to the audition, and we didn't have to audition or anything. In Erie, it's like, somebody did come to me. Would you be in our band? Okay. It's like, I suck at auditions. I'm the worst. I'm a nervous wreck. Anyway, by some, I don't know, I guess fate, I got chosen for Beach Blanket. So it changed a lot for me because I'd never done musical comedy. I'd never done anything like that. It was fun. It's closed now. It just closed a couple of years ago, but it ran forever in San Francisco. And
how long were you in it?
Let's see. Well, the show only lasted 2 years. Was it 88, 89? Yeah, it's like 2 years that no one lasted. And then the new owner came in at the Sands, and he and our producer didn't quite hit it off. And so he pulled out.
What's it like, when you're a professional singer like that and you have a commitment for, a 2-year span or whatever? I mean, are there regular rehearsals every day, or how does that work?
Oh, no.
No.
With the band, I mean, you rehearse until you get everything tight, and then you just do brush ups, or if you're learning a new song, of course, you might have a rehearsal, but usually just if you have a steady gig, that in itself keeps you tight. Once when I started doing the show, I really didn't have a band anymore,
Yeah.
And then I got after Beach Blanket, then I did a couple what we call casuals out here, which would be one-nighters, like a private gig,
Yeah.
And there was a guy from Japan. Don't ask me why. I guess he was in town scouting for things, and he got invited to this, and he saw me sing at this one-nighter and invited me to come to Japan and sing in Kyoto. Okie dokie. So once again, sure, why
Off
not?
to Japan.
Yeah. So I just.
And that was with a big band?
This, I go, God, no, that was just me going over with my charts.
Okay.
And playing with a house band there. Yeah, but they said that they told me it was jazz. So I had all these cool charts made up for stuff, And I get there, of course, nobody speaks. The sound man was the only one that spoke a lick of English. So he had to be my translator. And their idea of jazz was New York, fly me to the moon. It was just real,
Gotcha.
Obvious things. Like the big thing they wanted me to learn was Perry Como's Papa Loves Mambo. It's like, whoa, that's some hard jazz there. That's some serious. Yeah, go Perry.
Where were you playing?
Dizzy Gillespie. It was called Rapos, Repos. Yeah, that was the name of the club. It was beautiful. It was a little club, great sound system. And then they had a full orchestra. I don't know, they didn't have strings, but they had horns and everything, a big band that would do all sorts of stuff, music after I was done with my show. And it was members only that could come there.
How long did that last?
Oh, that was just a couple months.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you come back to Vegas?
That was Japan. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. When does Cher come into play?
Well, that was an accident. That's got to be how many years ago? Gosh, I was at a Halloween party, and I don't know where the heck I got my hands on a just generic curly black wig,
Yeah.
Slap that on. It's the easiest thing. I think, I went as a gypsy. in my mind, I'm being a gypsy. I walked in, and through the whole night, everybody's like going, "Oh my gosh, your Cher." Well, that wasn't what my goal was, but okay. And I used to get that when I was younger, just because I think the hair and the eyes,
Yeah.
And anyway, out here, it's like there's a show that started in town many years ago called Legends in Concert. And they're the first ones that started with impersonators, lookalikes, whatever. And when they did that, I thought, oh, what the heck? I could do this on the side. Again, freelance, not to be in the show, but just to do it freelance. And I just told the agents that I knew of, I had pictures taken, dropped them off, and said, again, let's see what happens. The phone started ringing, and yeah.
Wow. So was it a side gig?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how long did that last?
I still do it.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's why I asked.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I still do it. It's just the phone isn't ringing like it used to be, just because there aren't as many. Most of our conventions were canceled. That's the thing. The best. That's what Cher gets calls for. I mean, I get calls for as Cher would be conventions.
Yeah.
So I think I've got one. Yeah, on March 10th is my next one. Unless something comes up before then.
That's what I was going to ask.
Meanwhile,
it had to be difficult over the past few years, at least because of COVID, right?
It's been bad. It's been brutal. I mean, thank God for unemployment. I was eligible for that, so that helped tremendously.
So what was your regular gig aside from the Cher during those years, the past few years?
Well, I've been singing at the Italian American Club, and I still am. I do that a couple times a month. That's fun. Yes, it's a real retro, old school kind of Italian restaurant, but they got, God bless them, they got live music 5 days. They're open 5 days a week, and they've got entertainment 5 days a week, but they've cut back a little bit now, so it's just on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, that they will have somebody, a guest artist come in, but they're still keeping up with it, which is commendable.
Yeah, so that keeps you busy.
Yeah, it's not busy, but keeps my chops up.
That's right. Yeah. How often are you playing these days?
The Italian American Club's usually about 2 times a month. And then usually something will pop up in the middle, but it's bad. It's not good.
And that's all COVID related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was, although even before then, it just hasn't been like it used to be. When I first moved here, I thought, oh my gosh. And I remember the musicians, the union musicians that I met back in the day, they were complaining at that time, saying, oh, it's not like it used to be, when the mob ran things, every lounge was going. When I came here, they were complaining about it then, and I couldn't believe. I thought I was like Alice in Wonderland or Dorothy, in Oz. That's the best one. It would be like Dorothy and Oz. That's how I felt. It's like every place had entertainment. Even when you get off at 3 a.m, you could go somewhere and see somebody else still singing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was great.
So
we've hit the mother load here.
And I'm sure that you've been asked these types of questions by your family and friends over the years, but I mean, you went out to Vegas, you've been there since the 80s. I mean, tell me the craziest story, you played for so-and-so, or you saw so-and-so, and, you got to meet so-and-so. I mean, what were some of the super memorable gigs that you had, whether it's be good or bad?
Well, one of my little side things was before I got in, when I was still with Stan's band, the Harmony group.
Yeah.
And I got a call from a friend of mine who was singing with Wayne Newton, and he'd fired his singers, and he gave her the weekend to find somebody else before they went back on the road. So I ended up saying, again, here I go again. I took the gig. I had just gotten a perm. My hair was longer than it is now. And he didn't like a perm, so I had to straighten that out. Didn't like the fact that I was married. So anyway, he was going behind my back. I came to find out he told the other singer to look for somebody at these different cities. They were arranging, his road manager was arranging for other singers to audition, because Wayne decided he wanted a black girl, a white girl, and an Asian girl. It's all about the look,
Uh-huh.
So I guess I wasn't the white girl.
so that didn't last long.
No, And then I came back, and it's like they'd already hired another girl to take my place in Stan's band. She was miserable. They were miserable with her. So I ended up going back with Stan.
Wow. Well, that was a memorable experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, so not in a good way, but it was funny because we were on the road when I found out that he was doing this, auditioning these girls behind my back. So of course he takes the jet wherever he's going, but we were on the bus. Mm-hmm. So I went back, told the road manager, that I knew about what was going on. And I said, I quit. I said, wherever the next stop is, just let me off, get me a room, get me airfare home. And so he did. And then the other girl singer, the one that was he gave a deadline of the weekend that you have to, a deadline that you had to, they wanted to keep me until they found somebody else, but without me knowing. And they made her keep that a secret, which is horrible. We were dear friends. Mm-hmm. So she quit too. So the two of us made our march past everybody in the bus in the middle of Texas, the boonies, total boonies, Oh my God. Yeah.
Needless to say, you haven't been to see Wayne Newton in years.
Oh, no. But I hear a lot of my musicians, it's like a rite of passage here that singers and musicians have all played with him at one point,
Oh, really?
And so everybody's got a story, so mine isn't special.
Right. Gotcha. Any other interesting, crazy gigs that you remember, or?
The only thing that comes to mind is that, but that was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and that's when I was still with my husband in that group. They got really rambunctious and tried to rush the stage. Me, I don't know what they went with little old me, but they were happy and they just wanted to come up on stage and get me. And so my husband took his like a baseball bat, he took his bass, turned it around, and fended them off.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess he didn't know what else to do. They were gonna. I don't know what they planned on doing with me. They were just happy. They were drunk, let's face it. They weren't happy. They were loaded.
You guys toured all around then, it sounds like.
Not all around. It was mostly, like I said, in the Pittsburgh, Newcastle, that Warren, Niles, that area.
Gotcha.
We did some because of that agent. We did some in Michigan, Flint. Okay. Oh, Flint was awful because that was a stone rock club, like hard rock club, and here's us, we're doing all this funk music. They hated us. They just hated us. Wow. Well, they didn't hate us, they hated our music,
Right, yeah.
So the place was like crickets, you could bowl in there. There were no people. Once the word got out that we were an R&B band, they didn't want to hear us, so nobody came. So I think we ended that engagement quickly, mutually agreeing.
At least there was no chicken wire or anything like that.
Yeah, I wish there
in front of the stage.
That should have been in Grand Rapids. That should have been some chicken wire. Jeez.
Yeah, I want to make sure we covered everything.
Oh, I think so. You're surprising me, reminding me of all these things. You did such great notes that reminded me of things that I hadn't thought of in years.
I didn't even tell you
Good
about.
Memories.
There were other ones, let's see, what else? For Holy Smoke, you played the National Moratorium Day at Perry Square. You played the Erie Festival of the Arts, a Villa Maria Academy Mixer. You played at Gannon for some event with a bunch of bands, Stillwater, Lincoln, Kip and Stone. Do you remember any other bands from back in those days?
You know what? I remember the one with the Popotniks, Philip.
Philip, yeah.
Remember Philip?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still in touch with him too, with Phil Popotnik. Oh,
yeah.
I love that band.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they were fantastic.
Great players, and they're both still playing today.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Well, this has been fun. Took me down memory lane.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I always enjoy it.
I really did.
Hope I didn't tax your memory too much.
Shake it up a little in there. It needs it.
That's right.
Get those old brain cells going again. Jeez.
Good. All right. Well, thanks again, and you stay safe down there, and good luck to you. Hopefully we'll meet sometime here later this year.
I hope so too, Chip. Thanks so much.
All right. Take care, Janice.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Janice. She was really great to interview and talk with. I want to remind you that if you are looking for information on the current music scene, to check out Jack Stevenson's Two-Man Happy Hour. You can see that on Facebook, or you can go to twomanhappyhour.com, I believe. Jack each week chronicles each venue and who's playing where. So check that out. Also, if you want to become a Patreon supporter of this podcast, please go to Patreon, patreon.com, and look up Erie Music History. All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks.